Good afternoon, fourth grade. Today we're going to continue reading in our text about Set the Envious God. And you should have already completed the quick write yesterday. And I'm going to review our focus question. It says, who is Set and what motivated him to behave the way he did in Egyptian mythology? Our focus standard for today is we want to use text features and figurative language to figure out what the character's words and actions tell us about the theme of the text. Our vocabulary words are envious, and that's someone who's showing jealousy. Benevolent, that's someone who's kind. And proud, that's someone who's trying to be sneaky so that they can catch their prey. All right, and so you've already completed boxes 1 and 2, but we're going to review what you should have in these boxes, and then we're going to move on to boxes 3 and 4. So in box 1A, go ahead and check your work. It says, Aset was beautiful on the inside and out. She listened to humans and helped them solve their problems, which helped humans trust the gods. Okay, press pause if you didn't get all of that answer and play when you're ready for 1B. 1B says, describe Usser. Usser was benevolent. He taught the people to plow and gave them laws to live by. He became their adored king of all Egypt. Press pause to revise your answer if you need to, and play when you're ready for box 2. It says, describe Set. Set is Usser's brother, and he thinks Aset is more beautiful than his own sister wife, Nebet-Hut. Press pause to revise your answer and play when you're ready for 2B. It says, who is Set envious of? Why is he envious? Set is envious of Usser because everyone likes him. Usser has a beautiful wife that loves him, and Set's son Impu respects Usser more than Set. All right, press pause to revise your answer and play when you're ready to keep reading. And we're on the page 3, that has the picture of Set at the top and the humans admiring Aset and Usser. Okay, and I'm going to start at the top. And he looked at Usser. He looked until his eyes burned as dry as the desert he prowled. Then the strands of envy twisted even tighter around Set's innards, for his brother Usser fawned over Set's son Impu. Set's teeth went grimy with disgust, and Impu, the ingrate, he responded to this attention, caring for his uncle Usser too much. He even seemed to take after him. Intolerable! It was Set the boy should love like that. So Set was glad when the boy left home to go work in the underworld to what? Turn the page. Who needed such a son around? But still, Set had to watch Aset's face as she gazed at Usser, and now he looked around and noticed how humans adored this sister and brother that they had chosen as their queen and king, and his top lip curled. There were so many humans by now, they just kept multiplying, and he sensed Set's brother Usser was king of far too much, and was loved by far too many. Sometimes a brother doesn't need a reason to be spiteful toward another brother. Set was almost sure he would have hated Usser no matter what, regardless of how Aset loved him, regardless of how his own son admired him. But the way all those people loved Usser, well, that went beyond the pale. King of Egypt, bah! Set's insides swirled like the very strongest of tempests, with lightning and thunder and shrieking winds, and in this stormy state he vowed to himself to crush Usser. Set held a banquet. He arranged cones of scented fat in a large circle and set them ablaze to keep away pesky mosquitoes. He gave the goddesses lotus flower necklaces, knowing, of course, that they would endear him to Aset. He filled a basin with sparkling clean water for everyone to wash their hands in. Then he served them bread and great quantities of beer. As they were lollying around, satiated or satisfied, he pulled a cloth away to reveal a beautiful box. Usher ran his hand appreciatively along the intricate carvings. "Where did you get this, brother?" Turn the page. The combination of gold gilt, the color so dear to the great god Ra, the deep blue paint, the color so dear to his beloved wife Aset, made the box nearly irresistible to the unsuspecting Usir. "Isn't it superb, isn't it?" Set leaned in toward Usher with a brotherly intimacy. "Tell you what, whoever fits in this box, well, that's the rightful owner of it. I will regale the person with this fine box." Each guest took turns lying in the box, but each was too short or too long or too fat or too thin. In contrast, Usher fit perfectly. Naturally, for Set had taken all the relevant measurements, turn the page, of his brother, and he slept, and had the box built just so. The instant Usher lay inside, Set and his helpers rushed forward, closed the lid, and sealed it. Set lifted the box over his head, flung it with all his might into the raging Nile River, and for the first time in so long he couldn't remember, Set felt triumph. He was rid of Usir. He was rid of Usir, rid of the scourge of his life. At last, he could be all he wanted to be. He stood in no one's shadow. Such is the brutality unchecked envy can wreak. All right, but good has its own way of responding, and both Aset and Usher were deeply good. This story was far from its end. Okay, we'll stop right there and we'll go to box 3. It says, how does Set's envy impact others? And we know that because Set was so envious of Usher, he held a banquet. And Usher and Aset thought the banquet was like a nice thing Set was doing to celebrate how like amazing they are. But in actuality, Set had made this box. And he tricked Usher into laying down inside this box. And he closed the box and he nailed it shut and he threw it into the Nile River. And we know that you actually can't breathe in the box. And if the box has cracks in it, the box could fill with water and Usher would drown and sink. And so essentially, Set feels like he killed his brother. And all the humans feel like Usher, their beloved king, is dead. So in box 3, we would write, Set held a banquet to gain the trust of Aset and Usher. Then he tricked Usher into getting into a beautiful box he made. He closed the lid and threw the box into the Nile River. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for box 4. It says, what were the consequences of Set's envy? That means because of what Set did, how did it affect all the other people? And so let's think about Aset first. Aset lost her husband. The Egyptian people lost their king. and now Set has all the power. In box 4, write, Set lost her husband. The Egyptians lost their king. And Set might be put in charge. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the paragraph. It says, why is Set called the envious God? And you need to use details from boxes 3 and boxes 4 to show that he's envious and the impact that it has had on others.